Welcome back to the Friday Payroll Club. We are the podcast that dives into the trends, challenges, and updates that are shaping the future of the temporary labor market, payroll, compliance, contractor experience, and all the rest of the realities of dealing with the gig economy. We like to keep it real, we like to keep this practical, and we try to keep it all useful. If you're an end hirer or an agency that engages temp labor, this is the podcast for you. So my name's James, and I work alongside Aaron, one of the other hosts from Bar 2. And in today's episode, we're taking it back to call it more like a mini-sode, where we're going to be doing these throughout the year, and we're going to use them as an opportunity to dive into specific topics, themes, pieces of legislation, industry news, to give you agencies and end hirers a bit of a breakdown of specific industry jargon, trends, analysis, perspectives, all of that lovely stuff. So today we're going to be covering something that could genuinely save you from some pretty serious compliance issues if you get it wrong. So on today's episode of the Friday Payroll Club, I will be breaking down supervision, direction, and control, and I'm going to be covering off what it actually means, why it matters, and where agencies can get caught out even without realizing it. Most agencies don't get CIS wrong because they're careless. It's actually because they don't fully understand about what's happening on site. That's where the gaps can start to appear. And SDC effectively sits right in the middle of that. So at its core, SDC, or Supervision, Direction and Control, comes down to one simple question. Who is actually in control of the work that's being done on site? There's three parts to that. Supervision, someone overseeing the work as it happens; direction, someone telling the worker how to do the job; or control, someone deciding what gets done, when, and how. Simple on paper, of course, broken it down quite cleanly there. But in reality, that's where things get messy. It's not about what the contract says, it's about what actually happens on site. And this is what people can miss. CIS has been designed for independent subcontractors. That's people who decide how they do their work, take responsibility for their own delivery, and operate with a level of autonomy. Here's where the issue is in the agency model. You're not the one managing the work day to day on site. The end client is. So let's break this down with a few real world examples. Scenario one, worker is on site, following client schedule, taking instructions from a supervisor, working within the client's process. Likelihood is that's SDC at a client level. Scenario two, you've got a specialist subcontractor. They've given a defined piece of work to go out and finish. They can deliver it independently without anyone else, and they've got minimal oversight. Likelihood is that's a much lower supervision, direction, and control risk. Number three, you've got a consultant. They've been brought in for a specific set of expertise. They're working autonomously, and they're controlling how the outcomes are delivered. Again, that's pretty low when you're looking at SDC. So it's not about the job title, it's about how the worker is actually being managed. Two workers, same role, same pay, completely different compliance outcomes. So here's a common mistake. Applying CIS based on assumptions, big no-no. Or worse, applying CIS purely on the contract without asking what's actually happening day to day on site. Who's giving these workers instructions, if anyone, and who controls the work and the deadlines and the overall outcome of that project? If you don't have visibility of the working conditions, that means ultimately you don't control your compliance risk. Do we understand how the client manages workers on site without knowing? A worker's been told how to do the job or just what outcome is needed. Who controls the schedules and working conditions? And are we applying CIS based on reality, or is it more of an assumption? So compliance isn't just about the paperwork anymore, it's about proof, and supervision, direction, control is a clear example of that. This isn't just about CIS, this applies across the board for limited engagement, but this is really where the market is heading as a whole. We've said this before on the show. More scrutiny is coming, more accountability is needed, and more pressure is going to be put onto supply chains that are engaging temporary workers. So if you want to learn about this, or if there's another topic from the industry that you just want to learn a little bit more from, sound out, get involved, and reach out on LinkedIn, and we'd be more than happy to help get you onto the show, open a conversation, and talk all things payroll, compliance, and temporary labor. So I'm one of your hosts, James. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome to the club for the April episode of the Friday Payroll Club minisode, and we'll see you on the next slide. Bye.